welcome back to AlexWorldwide. Teacher Alex here, and today we're continuing our series on the top mistakes to avoid when learning English. In part 1, we covered some common pitfalls, and today we're diving into 3 more mistakes that you should steer clear of. Remember, learning a new language is a journey, and every step you take brings you a little bit closer to fluency. So let's get started. Mistake number 1, being afraid of making mistakes. All right, let's talk about the fear of making mistakes. We all have it to some level, and just being told don't be afraid is not very helpful, right? It's like being hit in the face with a wet fish, completely useless. Now, it's natural to feel afraid of speaking English. It's easier to just nod along rather than try out new words or structures. But here's the thing, without trying, you just won't learn. If your goal is to learn, you need to push past this fear. Many of us worry that people will care or be offended when we make mistakes in English. But here's a newsflash, people really don't care. They're usually understanding and supportive. You probably make fewer mistakes than you think. Most people overestimate their mistakes, which holds them back. Imagine you're at a party and someone from another country tries to speak to you in your language. Would you laugh at their mistakes? Of course not. You'd probably admire their effort and maybe even try to help them out. So here's the solution. Instead of being afraid, think about why you're afraid and what you can do to overcome it. It's normal to feel like a different person when speaking English, especially if you're confident and fluent in your native language. Even advanced learners who have lived in English-speaking countries for years often can't express themselves exactly as they would in their first language. But here's the good news. Overcoming this fear can lead to amazing results. Let me tell you about my friend Francesco from Sicily. Now, he arrived in London not speaking a word of English. Fast forward a few years, and he's doing a PhD at the University of Cambridge on a full scholarship. Francesco made hundreds of mistakes every day, but he always did so with a smile. Francesco's secret was his attitude. He embraced his mistakes as part of the learning process. He would say, every mistake I make is a step forward. And guess what? He was right. So the next time you feel afraid to speak, remember this example, embrace your mistakes, learn from them, and just keep smiling. Mistake number 2, speaking too fast. So let's talk about this, speaking too fast. You might see non-native speakers talking quickly and think that's a sign of fluency. But often it's the opposite. Speaking too fast can lead to more mistakes and more misunderstandings. You might think fluency means speed, but real fluency isn't about talking fast, it's about clear and effective communication. Think about some of the best speakers in English. Often they speak slowly with frequent pauses, almost as if they're searching for the right word. Not using filler words like This gives time to think and articulate thoughts clearly. Speaking slowly also helps with clarity. Your pronunciation might still be different from a native speaker, but speaking slowly makes you easier to understand. This makes conversations more enjoyable for everyone, and you'll get more opportunities to practice. Plus, speaking slowly shows confidence. It shows that you're not in a rush and that you're comfortable talking and expressing yourself. So here's the solution. Simply slow down. You'll have more time to think and choose interesting words and expressions. Most people think they speak more slowly than they actually do. So if in doubt, slow down. Here's a tip. Practice speaking in front of a mirror or even record yourself. Listen to how you sound and pay attention to your pace. You'll be surprised at how much clearer your speech becomes when you consciously slow down. Also, try reading aloud from a book or an article at a slower pace. This will help train your brain and help you to work more effectively when speaking. Another tip, include pauses and use these to your advantage. It doesn't only just give you time to think, but it emphasizes more important points in your conversation. It can make your talking more impactful and more engaging. Remember, it's not about how fast you speak, it's about how clearly you communicate. Mistake number 3, focusing too much on grammar. The final mistake for today, like I said, is focusing too much on grammar. English grammar has its easy parts, but it also has its challenges. Once you've covered the basics, the more complex rules can feel never-ending. Of course, it's useful to have a basic understanding of grammar, of course. But if you spend all your time with grammar books, you'll get discouraged and lose motivation. Instead, focus on interesting content. Think about how children learn their first language. They don't start with grammar rules. They start by listening, mimicking, and enjoying and engaging real-life conversations. So here's the solution. Rather than doing grammar-specific exercises, try to acquire grammar through real materials, books, articles, podcasts. This way, you learn grammar rules through practice. And when you come across a strange piece of grammar, figure out the rule, but don't focus solely on it. For example, if you love cooking, read recipes and watch cooking shows in English. If you're into sports, follow your favorite teams and players in English. This way, you'll be learning grammar in context, which makes it easier to remember and easier to use it correctly. Here's another tip. Keep a language diary. Write a few sentences every day about what you did, what you learned, or how you're feeling. Don't worry about making mistakes. The goal is to practice using the language. It's a really good tip. Over time, you'll notice patterns and improve your grammar naturally. Remember, even native speakers make mistakes. So embrace the weirdness of English grammar and stop worrying about it as a standalone principle. You'll be amazed at how quickly you learn grammar without actively working on it. Surround yourself with the language. Enjoy the process. And that's it for today. Remember, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Speak slowly and don't get too caught up in grammar. Keep practicing, stay positive, and enjoy the journey of learning English. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Alex Worldwide for more tips on learning English. See you next time.